Screen Park Unlimited. This story is about Newport in the Isle of Wight, and it's called A Dark and Violent Tragedy. A blood-stained nightgown and a little leather shoe are the only evidence of a dark and violent tragedy that ended in a double murder more than 2 centuries ago. The scene of the crimes was the Old Sun Inn at Hollywood Street, Newport, where for over 200 years one of the innocent young victims has awaited to tell her poignant story. Half-forgotten rumours of the murders are still told by old Newport folk, but it was not until Graham Morris bought the former coaching inn after it closed in 1976 that he made a gruesome discovery in a tiny hidden attic room. Graham, who later ran a shop dealing in antiques military in the part of the building, was renovating the old pub with his partner builder Dave Knight when he discovered the old little room, which had been boarded up and wallpapered over many years before. It had clearly lain empty and undisturbed for a very long time. For all it contained was soldiers' ancient pillbox hat. However, hidden in a void behind a chimney, he came upon a dusty bundle of rags and a bag of ancient leather shoes. Inside the bundle was a very old white cotton nightgown, decorated with beady angles and heavily blood-stained. It was covered in congealed blood, which had gone brown with age, and was absolutely macabre. It made me feel uneasy. I burnt it in the backyard, Graham confessed. In the same yard, he and Dave discovered an old well, which also played a part in the tragedy. It contained at least 33 feet of water, and although the well was pumped out of the island's fire service, it was never excavated because the firemen deemed it too dangerous. The well has since been filled in. The old pub was originally built in 1640 as a gentleman's residence. When it became a coaching inn is not clear, but it was certainly in use as early as 1730 as a busy staging post, with stabling in the nearby yard of what became Red's posting establishment. Among the old shoes found by Graham was a small leather ankle boot, which was shown to a local nurse, a medium Ivy Griff. Ivy would often sit holding the little shoe to try to pick up some physic clues from it. Over the next year, she had another medium were able to piece together the story of those tragic events at the Sun. As of Francesca, a young French girl who had once owned the shoe and nightgown, relayed information to them. One day a very insistent little voice came through asking Palisa Francesca every time we had a sitting, she was there again. She told us her name was Francesca, and as she was 14 years old, bit by bit the girl's prophetic story came out. It seems she had been bought by the landlord of the inn for the sum of 3 crowns, and put to work as a skivvy and serving wench. An orphan born in France, she spoke little English and was very unhappy. A tiny slip of a girl, she had long curly fair hair and large dark lashed eyes. Francesca had been kept busy running to and fro with tankards of ale until late into the night. She told Ivy how the customers would cheer the dog fighting and cockfights that went on at the old inn. Francesca fell in love with Ralph, a young stable lad at the Sun Inn, which was the staging post for coaches running between Cowes and Wight. Ralph was kind to her. She started to blossom. Unfortunately, the little serving wench also caught the eye of the owner of a local print workers, a man of standing and a pillar of the community. He watched and waited his chance. One night, he found her alone in her attic room. Although only 14, Francesca fell pregnant, but as her pregnancy advanced, she miscarried. A blood-soaked her cotton nightgown, she lay close to death. The terrified girl whispered the name of her abuser and how he had forced himself upon her. When word of this reached him, to prevent a scandal which would have ruined him in the town, he enlisted the help of friends who strangled the little French girl and dumped her body in the well to cover their tracks and shift the blame. A scapegoat was found. Young Ralph was the obvious choice. He too must die. Late one night, led by a local one-eyed ruffian known as the Pigman, a drunken rabble threw a rope over one of the wooden beams, stood the struggling young man on a crate and kicked it from under him. They left him hanging there all night while they drank and coincided. Next morning, Ralph was cut down, and his body followed Francesca into the well. Once she had told us this whole story, we never heard from Francesca again. She had wanted to have her case heard, as she put it, and for Ralph's name to be cleared. It took many months to piece all this together. You can't wash spirits, Ivy said knowingly. Francesca and Ralph are together now, and have been for 2 centuries. We are very happy now, she told Ivy. Apparently her only regret is that she was not able to watch her child growing up. Ivy still has that little shoe, but any aura of sadness has been dispelled, purged and cleansed by Francesca herself. The earthbound spirits of Francesca and Ralph and their killers were laid to rest in 2001. Read their story in Most Haunted Island. So that's the story of the 2 dark tragedies. So that's it for this. So it's time to say, cue those credits. Goodbye.